Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. Today we are looking at Exodus chapter 31. It is a smaller chapter, but it has got lots of good stuff in it. And so let's just dive right in this morning. So it begins with again it says the Lord spoke to Moses. So we know that we're still in this conversation about the building of the tabernacle and creating this holy space here on earth. And what I love about it, so, as most people, so God spoke to Moses and told him how to do every single bit of it. This is how it's to be done. And I don't know if you might be like me, but if I was Moses, I would have been thinking like, how am I supposed to do all of this? Like, you're crazy. And what happens is that God says, you know what? I already know of two people that I know I've already blessed them with the skills and the talents to do everything I asked of you. And so we find that Bezalel, oh, I didn't say that wrong, Bezalel, son of Uri's son, of the tribe of Judah, is called to be the one who creates the tabernacle. So he has all the skills needed to create this tabernacle. And then he has also chosen Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, to deal with all of the sewing skills. He's the one who's going to create all of the robes and the fabrics and everything. And so it's not left to Moses to have to do it all. He has to ask for help. He has this great, he's been given this great task, but he's not to do it alone. So often, I think we get stuck in our ministry places and we're like, well, I'm the person who's supposed to decorate for worship. So I guess I got to figure out how to do all this myself. And no, it's you have an idea and then you start going like, well, who has sewing skills? Who has craft painting skills? Who has musical skills? And you start inviting other people to be a part of this creation that is going to happen, this experience of the holy. And so I love it right here. It's like, yes, Moses, I have given you every last detail, but I also am giving you helpers along the way. So I just love that. So then the second part of chapter 31, starting at verse 12, we have this important little section where it's all about Moses' responsibility. His responsibility in the midst of all of this. His one responsibility is to keep the Sabbath, to ensure that people are taking Sabbath. Now, this is kind of interesting because it's not saying that people are supposed to go worship necessarily on the Sabbath. Because the tabernacle, we have to remember the tabernacle and the tent of meeting and everything is meant to have 24/7 worship. So worship of God is supposed to happen 24/7. But what Sabbath is really pointing out in this particular chapter is that you have to rest from work. You have to stop always gaining for yourself. There is this idea, this sense of that there's a part of us that is meant for God. It's not meant for ourselves. And work technically is about self gain. It's so that you have money to feed your family, to have the luxuries that you want, to have the vacations, to have the big toys. So work there has to be a moment where you say, no, stop working. This is for God. This goes even if you're like working 2 to 3 jobs to support your family and you're like, well, I'm not trying to get vacation. I'm not trying to get big toys. You still have to remember that God is the one who's going to save you and your family and not your job. So, again, even in difficult circumstances, It's this point of recognizing that you are a being that God says, I want you to rest. I want you to remember um, me in this. And it's not necessarily technically going to worship, but it's resting from your work that's very, in a sense, it's a self-centered thing. Even in ministry, you've got to take this break from work. And it goes in here, and there's a harsh punishment for those who don't take Sabbath, for not offering themselves to God in their work. And so there's that in there too. And then we find that this chapter closes with in verse 18 it says, when God finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him 2 tablets of the covenant, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. So in our Bible, there's only about 2 times where the finger of God is literally used in here. It was when the Exodus with the gnats were coming out, the finger of God like kind of directed that. So here again, so this is a rare occasion here that the finger of God has done this. And so we know it's a very powerful moment, very important. And that's how this chapter ends, with that, God's like signing the deal. Signed, sealed, done. And so we now are kind of come to our conclusion of this 40 days of Moses on the mountain in the cloud with God speaking to him. And that's where we end for our weekend. And so I hope then during this Lenten weekend, you can find some Sabbath along the way. So thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda, with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion, and I'll see you next week.